观众朋友，欢迎收看加州2018选举季的特别节目。在接下来的几周，我们会关注加州2018年的选举，同时呢，我们也会采访几位重要职务的竞选人，了解一下他们对一些华人关注话题的看法。今天我们有幸要采访的是现任的众议院议员 Travis Allen， 他呢是竞选加州的州长职务。You know, I'm not well versed on politics, but I just have a general observation from a Chinese perspective. You know, the Chinese feng shui experts believe that everything in the nature is made of 5 basic elements: the metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. What's happening in the nature reflects what's happening in society. Well, from December 2011 to March 2017, the state of California had the worst, longest drought on record, and then we had torrential rain, and then led to the flood in San Jose. We had a record heat in San Francisco, 106 degree at the end of August, a place where known for its coolest summer. And then we had a gusty wind, we had the biggest fire, worst fire on record. Then on top of that, we had earthquakes and mudslides. So I mean, it doesn't take a feng shui expert to figure out that all 5 elements is being basically out of balance. And I just want to know from your perspective, what's been going on in the state in the last 8 years? Do you have an explanation?
Yeah, actually I do. And I like the word you used, which was balance. There is no balance left in California. So I stand before you right now. Behind me is the California State Capitol. For 39 of the last 40 years, the California Democrats have run both houses of this legislature, both the Assembly and the Senate, every single year except for one of the last 40 years. And then for 24 of the last 50 years, Jerry Brown and his father have been in the California governor's seat. So there has been absolutely no balance in California, which is why we now have among the nation's highest income tax, highest sales tax, one of the highest gas taxes, and also one of the highest corporate taxes. And all of these high taxes lead us into the worst of the nation poverty in the entire nation, exploding homelessness everywhere we look. We have more homeless people in California than anywhere else in the country. And then, as you know, violent crime has been increasing due to the soft on crime laws of the California Democrats as well. So, you know, I'm running to be the governor of California. One of the reasons I'm running is to bring balance back to California, so Californians can actually see both sides of the story, and we can finally get a chance to lower our taxes, make our communities safe again, give our children the education they need, and truly make California once again the greatest state in the nation.
Yeah, well, Chinese people believe in the balance of yin and yang, and too much of anything is going to be disastrous. Now, I understand the founding principle of this country is also the government has to have checks and balances. But I want to ask you, why do you think this upcoming election is so critical to restore that balance than ever before?
So, look, you take a look at what's at stake here in 2018. You might remember that in 2016, we were at a crossroads for the country. We either had, Hillary Clinton and more of the broken socialist policies of Barack Hussein Obama, or we had Donald Trump, a businessman who said that he wanted to make America once again the greatest state or the greatest country in the world. He wanted to put America first, and he believed in American excellence. The same thing is happening right now in California. In 2018, this race for the next governor of the state of California will affect 8 years of our future. Think about this. California, we have seen people leave our state. My whole family's left. So my parents left. They now live in Oregon. My brother's left. He lives in Arizona. My best friend now lives in Texas, where he pays no state income tax. And he doubled the size of his house and doubled the size of his business. I manage money for a living. I'm an investment advisor. All of my clients started here in California. They're now in 22 other states because of the terrible policies of the California Democrats. This race we have in 2018 can change everything for the next 8 years of California. What we need is a governor that will actually put a sign on this building right behind me that says open for business, that will bring Californians back to our state, bring them back from Texas and Tennessee and Arizona and Florida and all the states they've gone to, because this truly is the greatest state in the nation. It's just been run by the wrong political party for generations now.
Historically, Asian American population has a very low participation rate when it comes to voting. For those people who are somewhat cynical or don't care much about politics, why should they come out and vote? I just received the ballot with their name on it, actually. Why should people come out and vote this time?
Look, everybody should always come out and vote. The thing is, what everyone has to remember is that we are responsible for our government. It's not, the government is not some far off thing. It is us. It's a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So it's incumbent on everybody to actually cast your vote, because what you vote actually will change the course of your life. It's kind of like living in a neighborhood and not paying attention to the streets in the neighborhood and the houses in the neighborhood. If you want to live in a nice city, you clean your house first, then you clean your yard, then you make sure you live in a nice neighborhood. And this is exactly what we need to do in the state of California. So this is incumbent on everybody to get out there and vote, because what's at stake is not just the money in your pocket. I have a 5-point plan for California. The number one point is to cut tax in California, which puts more money in your pocket. But you take a look at the rest of my 5 points: cut taxes, get tough on crime, fix our roads, expand our freeways, fix our broken education system, and complete the California State Water Project so we get rid of these worst-in-the-nation droughts that we constantly have to suffer through. Every single one of those points will make your life better, whether it's more money in your pocket, whether it's safe streets that you're walking down, whether it's getting you out of traffic so you're no longer in the worst-in-the-nation traffic, whether it's sending your children to better schools, or finally having enough water just so literally you can take a long shower in California. Elections matter, and this election matters the most for the next 8 years of your life. So that's why this June race is so important, and why we're telling everybody to get out there and vote for Travis Allen so we can take back California.
The state is just as blue as any state can get. You're actually Republican conservative, so how's this going to work? I mean, how are you going to be in an environment that's dominated by the Democrats? How is it going to work?
So look, in 2000, it's very true. There's only 25% registered Republicans in California. There's 44% registered Democrats. So there's a very large registration difference. But actually, in an election like this, it does not matter as much as you would think it does. In 2014, Jerry Brown was elected with 4.3 million votes. In 2016, Donald Trump just got 4.4 million votes in California. Literally, this means that if all we do is turn out the Trump voters and all the disaffected Democrats that have been left behind by the far left policies of today's Democrat Party, then Travis Allen will be your next governor of the state of California. But every vote counts. So this is our chance to truly say, wait a second. In 2016, they said we could never do it. They said we would never take back our country. If you listen to the polls, the mainstream media, everybody said it was impossible. But we now know that it was not impossible. And because of that, Donald Trump is now our president. Because of that, he cut everyone's taxes, creating $8 trillion of new wealth for this country, which put food on people's table, allowed their children to have better clothes and make sure that they got to school on time. These are all of the great things that one election can change. That was in 2016, and we took back our country. In 2018, we take back our state.
Notice that the seat of governorship has actually been, for the last 60 years, has been occupied longer by the Republicans than Democrats. Is that true? For the last 30, 40 years, so we had just two Democratic last names, either Davis or Brown. But we had P. Wilson, we had Arnold Schwarzenegger, we had Ronald Reagan. It's actually been run by Republicans longer than the Democrats.
And that's very true. The problem is that they had a Democrat legislature to contend with, and many of them were not as strong as they could be. So, for instance, Arnold Schwarzenegger became governor, right after Gray Davis tried to raise our car taxes so much. He tried to triple our car tax, and then on top of that, we had all the rolling blackouts in California in 2003. On that right there, we threw Gray Davis out of office, and Arnold Schwarzenegger came in. And you might remember that he ran as a conservative, and he gave us those great ballot initiatives. But the problem is once he got defeated at the ballot box one time, he never came back. Literally, he turned into, something other than a Republican. He went home, and there was a Kennedy Democrat waiting at home. He went to the office. He had a Democrat chief staff waiting for him there. And that was the last we ever saw of him. After that, he gave us AB 32, which was a massive tax on every Californian. And today, Arnold Schwarzenegger talks about bleeding the Republican Party dry. So that really tells you we have not had a real Republican for decades as governor in the state of California. We need someone who is strong, who is principled, who will stand up for common sense and what is right in our state, who will stand up against all of the identity politics of the Democrats that want to try to tell us just because we look different or sound different that we are somehow different. I'll tell you right now, Travis Allen knows the truth, as all of you do. We are all the same. We are all California citizens, and under the eyes of the law, we will all be treated exactly the same. And that is the message that resonates across the state. This is the message that will allow us to take back California.
You have 5 main points for your campaign: cut taxes, build better roads, get better education, complete a state water project. The question I have is, the first thing is cut tax. If you're going to cut tax, you're going to lower the revenue for the state. And how are you going to fund the other 4? I mean, this is one of the things that everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. Without more tax, how are you going to do the other 4?
So this is the big lie of the California Democrats, that we always need more tax money. Listen, when Jerry Brown got first elected in 2010, the state general fund was $86 billion. Today, it's over $138 billion. Think about this. That is an increase of over $50 billion, over 50% in the last 8 years alone. And they still say it is not enough. This was because they raised Prop 30 taxes. Then they raised the tax with the cap and trade tax plan, as well as this gas tax. For the California Democrats, there is no end to the amount of money they want to take out of your pocket. And they always say the same thing: send us just a little bit more money and we'll solve all of your problems. Well, we already know that that's not true. There is more tax revenue in the state of California than there's ever been at any time in our history. We have plenty of money in California to fix our broken education system, to fix our second worst in the nation roads, to expand our freeways, to get us out of traffic. We have plenty of money to do all of this. We just have to run California like a business and actually spend our money wisely.
You know, one of the things, I come from an accounting background. One of the things I'm just keep wondering is, we have the absolute booming economy right now, and the lowest unemployment rate, lowest interest rate. And we constantly hear about the state complaining about not having enough money. If in a good economy you're not having enough money, and I wonder what will happen in the bad days. So are we saying we're just one recession away from a total bankruptcy again?
No, so actually this is not true. Again, this is another myth that Jerry Brown and the California Democrats want to try to tell the people, which is, we're always just one recession away from going bankrupt. Listen, that is no way to run your household. That's no way to run a business. But that's how the Democrats have been running our state, because their spending is out of control. We don't have a revenue problem in California. There's more tax money than ever collected. There's a spending problem in this building right behind me. And the reason is because the California Democrats can't stop spending your money. So the answer is that we cut taxes. Job number one. When we cut taxes, it puts more money back in your pocket, and it forces the government to be more efficient with our tax dollars. And here's the great part. I'm an economist because by trade I manage money. I started managing money in 1996. I opened up my own company in 2001. And I still work every single day because I believe that your elected officials should have to live and work in the real world, which is why I advocate for a part-time legislature. But the point is very simple. According to basic economics, if you cut taxes and put more money in people's pockets, they will then turn around and spend that in the economy, which makes everybody better off. And actually, the funny thing is through time that actually leads to even more taxes coming to the California state government to do more things for all of us. So the answer is very clear. There's more than enough money here. We don't need to raise taxes. We need to spend our tax money more efficiently, and we need to cut taxes because we need to put more money back on your table because you know how to spend your money a heck of a lot better than the California Democrats in the building behind me do.
Oh, I mean, if it's an independent nation, the California economy is going to be the 6th largest in the world. But like you said, we are paying actually the highest personal income tax, sales tax in the union. But the educational system is terrible in this country, in the state. I have one kid. Someday she's going to go to university here in public school. I would like her to go. But how did we get to where we are today? The educational system seems like we pay more, get less. What are you going to do to fix the educational system?
Look, you're exactly right. So you remember my 5-point plan: cut taxes, get tough on crime, fix our roads, expand our freeways with no new taxes, fix our broken education system, and complete the California State Water Project. When I talk about fixing our broken education system, it's very clear. Number one, parents must be given the right to send their kids to the very best public school, the very best public charter school, or even homeschool their children if they wish. But no longer does every child get a trophy. We're going to test the kids when they go into the grades so we know where they start. Then we're going to test them so they can get out of the grades so we can guarantee that they have the skills that they need to move on to the next level. Skills like reading and writing and math. No longer are we going to have 5th graders reading at the 2nd grade level. And lastly, we got to get rid of all this statewide mandated Common Core and leftist propaganda in our schools. Our teachers have one job, and that's to educate our children. in the basics, things like reading and writing and math. And you take a look at what Jerry Brown has done. He has increased education spending by over 50% in the last 7 years, 50%. But yet our schools are still among the worst in the nation, and that's getting even worse. Our kids are 46th and 47th in reading and math. Only 30% of our ninth graders are ever expected to finish a 4-year college degree. That is entirely unacceptable. And while we're talking about education, you may have heard about a bill called SCA 5. This just came through in the last couple of years in the legislature. This was an effort by California Democrats to treat our children differently based on the color of their skin, not by their merit. This is absolutely wrong. I'm running to be your next governor of the state of California because I don't believe in the identity politics of the California Democrats. I don't believe that you're any different because you look or sound or believe in something different than anybody else in the state of California. We are all the same. We are all California citizens, and we will all be treated the same. And you better believe that means our children will be treated the same as well. So every child must be given the exact same opportunity. For the children that do the very best, that get the highest test scores, that truly exceed and excel, those children should be rewarded because that's what we believe in this country. Hard work is rewarded. That's the American dream. That's the California dream. That's exactly what we're going to do.
I'm glad you addressed that. I was going to ask you about affirmative action and disaggregation to data to admissions to the public universities in California.
I'll clarify that for you. Never again in California. When I'm your governor of California, Travis Allen will guarantee that we will never have affirmative action. I will tell you, anytime any politician is trying to tell you that you look, think, or feel differently based upon how you look, what you believe, or where you came from, that is absolutely wrong, and that will no longer be tolerated. All of those racist ideas, no longer tolerated. Martin Luther King said he had a dream where one day his children would be judged by the content of their character, not by the color of their skin. I'll tell you right now, that's exactly what we're going to do in the state of California. So if you're able to succeed, good for you. If your kids can succeed because they're working harder, good for them. We are going to reward success in this state once again.
Well, speaking of that, I am a first-generation immigrant. I came through the front door. But what's your opinion on some of these immigration issues going on, particularly the law just passed actually went in effect January 1st, the sanctuary state?
It's very simple. We are a sovereign nation. We have the right to secure our border like every other nation in the entire world does. Number one, we must secure the border. I'm the only candidate in the governor's race who has always said that we have to secure our border. Everyone else has flip-flopped on their positions. I've been very, very clear that there's a right way to come in this country. It's through the front door, the right way, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Past this, the California Democrats have really opened up Pandora's box. The California Democrats have become completely lawless. They now believe not just in this open border, open immigration policy. Now what they want is the illegal sanctuary state. And let me define what this is for you. This is not talking about someone's grandmother sitting on a couch. This is someone who came here illegally to California, who is committing crimes while they're here in our state. They will now be sheltered with your taxpayer dollars. This is the story of Kate Steinle, who is a beautiful young girl just walking down the pier in San Francisco with her father. She was shot in the back by someone who had been deported 5 times already. This person was a 7-time felon who had been released due to the sanctuary city policies of Gavin Newsom, Jerry Brown, and the California Democrats. If this person had never been released, Kate Steinle would still be alive today. And what you have to remember is one tragedy like Kate Steinle is one too many. We cannot allow this to happen in California. We must enforce federal immigration law. In my first 100 days, I have already vowed to reverse the illegal sanctuary state, and we will secure our borders. There's a right way to come in this country. We're going to make sure everybody uses it. It's called the front door.
You know, interestingly enough, the concept of building a wall to keep foreigners out is not alien to my Chinese ancestors. The Chinese knew how to build a wall, build the longest wall in the world. But some people argue, say, you know, not all illegal, undocumented immigrants come to this country are criminals. And so actually the state does, the farming industry does need workers to, if you are tough on the immigration, you're going to cause trouble for some of the industries. They may not have enough labor.
Look, that's absolutely not true. The answer is that you don't break the law to make things better. in your country or in your state. If there's an issue, then you change the laws. We are a democratic nation that is a constitutional republic. We are based on the rule of law. So very simply, we have systems in place where people that want to become seasonal workers can become seasonal workers. We actually used to have a very good system in California called the Bracera program, and that worked for decades. And when we had that, we had almost no illegal immigration. How it worked was very simple. Somebody could come to California, they could work seasonally, and then they could go back wherever they came from. And what would happen is we would take a little bit of their paycheck and we'd withhold that. As long as they didn't commit any crimes, and whenever they returned back to their home country, this money was sent back to their home country so they could get that portion of their money back. The system worked phenomenally well. We had low crime, we had no illegal immigration, and everybody knew that they were here legally, so they didn't have to look over their shoulders. Remember, illegal immigration hurts everybody. It doesn't just hurt California citizens, it hurts the people who came here illegally. These people don't want to live in fear. They don't want to live, in the shadows looking over their shoulders. Everybody needs to know that there is a right way to come in this country. It's the front door. If we need, more seasonal workers, then what we need to work on is something like a Bracera program, where there is actually a work visa program that works out. But we need to do it the legal way, the right way. And again, this is a federal issue, not a state issue. So this must be done through Washington, D.C. But whatever they decide in Washington, D.C., we will enforce here in California, because we are a nation of laws and immigration is a federal power.
Speaking of crimes, what's your take on Proposition 47, 57, AB 109?
Yeah, look, as the next governor of the state of California, I will reverse AB 109, Prop 57, and Prop 47. These three soft-on-crime laws of the California Democrats have turned felonies into misdemeanors and have allowed felons to get out of jail early. Think about this. Just a month and a half ago, a judge ordered over 10,000 sex offenders to be released early from jail because of Prop 57. This is completely wrong. Because of these three soft-on-crime laws, violent crime has increased by over 15.4% in the last 3 years alone. We must reverse every single one of these laws and make California safe again. And while we're at it, I have an A and an A+ from the NRA and the Firearms Policy Coalition, because I believe it is the right of every Californian to have their Second Amendment. It shall not be infringed by the government. We must have the right in California to get a CCW permit so we can protect ourselves anywhere we are, whether we're in the street, whether we're at our home, or anytime, day or night, any place in the state of California. We got to get rid of the handgun roster. We got to get rid of the ammunition registry of Gavin Newsom. These laws are making Californians less safe. Californians should have the right to protect themselves, to protect their loved ones, and to protect your property, no matter where you are, anytime, day or night in the state of California.
But they were told that we had an overpopulation in the prison, and in order to cut funding, in order to build more schools than building more prisons, we need to let some of them go. Is that a valid statement?
No, it's a completely invalid statement, and it's a lie. It's yet another lie of Jerry Brown and the California Democrats. Look, if the federal government says that our jails are overcrowded, if they are overcrowded, build more jails. You don't let criminals out of jail early so they can go and reoffend in our communities. This is just common sense. Who would think it would make sense to release a criminal back into our community before they have served their time? These people are statistically proven to reoffend, and they commit even greater crimes. This is the problem. Californians want to be safe again. If we don't have enough space in our jails, we will build more. But if you're a criminal in the state of California, you're going to get a very clear message when Travis Allen is your governor. If you commit the crime, you will serve the time.
Well, speaking of building, I know the housing prices being spiraling out of control. Maybe that's the reason we have so many homeless. The homeless population just skyrocketing in some of the cities like San Francisco. I go there every week, and it's sometimes you see things you don't want to see in this. You only see it in a third world country. What's going on? What are you going to do about the homeless population in the state?
So homelessness has exploded in California. It's so bad in San Francisco. There's actually maps, so you know which streets you can walk on and which streets you should really avoid because of all of the human waste. There's hypodermic needles on the sidewalk where children have to go to elementary school. And because of their soft on drugs policy, this is Prop 47, passed by Gavin Newsom, the former mayor of San Francisco, that made any personal drug use a slap on the wrist, a misdemeanor. We now have open drug use in the city of San Francisco. 22,000 intravenous drug users on the streets every single day. And it's so bad that that city now wants to actually open up heroin injection centers, not just one, but 2 of them in July of this year. I'll tell you right now, Californians don't want heroin injection centers in their communities, and we don't want homelessness everywhere. We have laws against vagrancy, laws against loitering, laws against public camping, but those laws are not being enforced because the ACLU and other special interest groups are suing these states, costing them hundreds of millions of dollars. The answer is that we must clean up the streets of California. And how we do this is anybody that's on the street will no longer be allowed to be there. We have laws against that. If they can find a place to go, that's great. But if they can't, there will be a place that the state will have for them. We must have state institutions where people that can no longer provide themselves have a roof over their head. If they need mental health services, they're going to get those. If they need substance abuse services, they're going to get those. If they just need a roof over their head to get that next job, they're going to get that as well. But no longer will they be allowed to sleep out on our streets. It is not fair to them. They're the most vulnerable Californians. It is not fair to us, the citizens of California, to have to walk through these filthy streets. And I have a very clear message for anybody that's on the streets of California that's not a California citizen. You will get a one-way ticket out of our state because we're going to take care of California citizens first. We're going to do it cleanly. We're going to do it safely. These facilities will be monitored, and we will make sure they're run efficiently. But I'll tell you right now, we're going to clean up the streets of California. It is our right in California to have clean streets. And for these people in our communities that need our help the very most, we have to make sure that they get out of the streets and into a facility where they can get that help.
All right, thank you very much, Assemblyman Allen. Thank you so much.